Boom! Alright guys, welcome to Day State. Why are we already laughing off the rip? I mean, come on, give me a break.
It's just a good time.
Yeah, you're right, it is
We're
a good
fine.
time. Alright, we're back. It's been 1 week since Field of Dreams. We're all back in the same place. I'm not on the TV, thank God. I got a haircut, which is something new. Will's hair is growing in just a little bit, so, you know.
Nate will never cut his hair.
Nate will never cut his hair.
Don't
He's
touch
gonna,
my
he's,
hair.
gonna, he's gonna let those locks grow forever, dude. Okay, so we're back at it. Last podcast we said we were gonna watch Super Mario. We still haven't. It's been in theaters for a week.
We didn't say that. You shouldn't watch the podcast.
Yeah, true.
You said maybe.
You said you had to decide.
It's not on here. That's true. I did decide this week. Jacob's Ladder. Okay, Jacob's Ladder, 1990. Tim Robbins. Who else? I don't even know who else is in
Macaulay Culkin.
Macaulay Culkin.
And Elizabeth Pena, I think is her name.
Yeah.
And then
Pena?
Danny Ayo.
Is that how you say it?
I don't know.
Is it Ayo? Ayo?
I have no idea.
Aiello? It could be Aiello
He's
with an
in-
Italian accent.
He's in
Aiello.
freaking the Spike Lee joint.
Yeah.
Is that it? Or
What's
what?
Spike Lee?
I've seen him in One More Thing. I looked at it yesterday because he was really good in
The
that.
hot one.
With Spike Lee and Spike Lee.
The hot one. What's the hot one?
And
Everybody wants. No, not everyone wants.
The Five
and,
Bloods.
and the guy goes like this with the boombox, and
I
then he
know.
dies.
Is it She's Gotta Have It? It's not She's Gotta Have It.
It's like that. It's like those type of words
It's
though.
She's got it.
Bro, what in the
It's
world?
like your favorite movie. You love this movie.
It's not my favorite.
I haven't found one Spike Lee movie that I actually enjoy. If I'm being completely honest.
You don't
See
like Black
Black
Klansman?
I haven't seen the Black Klansman.
Do the right
That's
thing.
Do the Right Thing. Yes, duh. Do the Right Thing. Black Klansman's good. Do the Right Thing is
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. Whenever the Black Klansman first came out, it kind of tripped me out.
It's funny. Like, I didn't expect it to be funny.
I like
It
Black
was really funny though.
Bro, I see
Hey.
clips of Adam Driver's fucking
Yeah,
monologue
it's
all
hilarious.
the
Bro, he's a
time.
good actor.
Apparently, it's like insane.
Yeah, it's funny.
And John David Washington's not like, I don't think he has a ton of acting range, but he's like good at what he does.
Yeah.
I like John David Washington.
Yeah, I do too.
So this week we did Jacob's Ladder, 1990, Tim Robbins, Macaulay Culkin, and whoever the next person was.
Elizabeth Pena.
So 3 years ago today, Will showed me this movie on my birthday. Well, not 3 years ago today. 3 years ago and some change.
That's what I was saying. What kind of crazy timing is this?
Yeah, it would have been wild. But 3 years ago, it was my birthday, and Will was like, let's watch a movie. Watch the movie, and it was Jacob's Ladder. And it has been a real favorite for me. I've watched it like 4 times over the past couple years, and just rewatched it again today. I loved every minute of it. What were y'all's initial thoughts on it? I mean, you've seen it before.
Yeah, Nate.
Oh, I go first?
Yeah. What did you think? I mean, what did you think?
Just
off rip, like keep it light, keep
Yeah.
it tight. Like, what did you think about it?
I thought it was a very enjoyable movie. I was watching. I'm not the biggest. Is this horror or just thriller? What would you?
I think it's a psychological thriller,
Oh yeah, I think that's fair.
That's how
I got
see it.
spooked a couple times.
Bro. Oh my gosh, I think like this movie has points of it where like it genuinely like me watching it with all the lights on in my dorm room today.
Yeah.
Like made my heart drop like
Wow.
multiple times,
Wow.
and it happens every single time I watch the movie. But continue.
But I'm not the biggest horror film genre fan, so I enjoy watching a thriller more so than just like a corny horror movie.
Right.
But really enjoyed watching it. Just at the end, I was like, really? That's it? That's how it ends?
See, I'm the
That's how
opposite.
That's how it
I really don't understand how you can
I'm
even be
the
like that.
exact opposite. Watching it, I don't like it. I really like it's like hard to
Really?
watch. It's frustrating. It's like it's not something I want to look at. But
It's
then-
very dark.
Yeah, but then at the end, I'm like, wow, that just makes the movie really good.
Really?
Yeah. Okay.
So that's interesting. That's interesting.
How I really want to kind of go through this is I kind of want to, because this movie is really broken up into a lot of pieces, right?
Right.
Like it's like you kind of go down this road and there's a roadblock here, roadblock here, roadblock here, and it all just kind of switches perspectives, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to start at the beginning.
The Vietnam scene.
The Vietnam scene, and it's just the opening scene. Everybody's eating, and then out of nowhere, there's movement in the trees, and everybody just kind of goes wild, right? So that goes down, and then later in the movie, we figure out that the attackers were actually each other, right? So I wrote my senior essay in my English class on this movie, and like on the actual events of this movie. And so I researched like for weeks on like the BZ. Like, you saw?
Yeah.
So all of it, like this movie is really like all this really happened, right? And so I guess that's kind of like a reason I'm kind of passionate about it. Not passionate about it, but like just really, really interested about it, right? Because like the whole Vietnam scene and like everything that was happening in like the 70s and the 80s and everything that was going on in that time was like really, really intriguing to me, right? So it's like BZ as a drug was used as a rage drug by the U.S. government to get soldiers to kind of go crazy, right? And so that's kind of shown in the first scene, right? And then we see Jacob get stabbed, and then later it's revealed that it was like a fellow U.S. guy. But like that initial scene, whenever I first saw it, I remember being reminded kind of the Saving Private Ryan. Whenever you rush to the beach scene, did you get any? Did you get those vibes at all, or not really?
No. Honestly, that Saving Private Ryan scene is legendary to me.
It was just so. Like, I see what you're saying with like the chaos of it, but it was a different like type of chaos because you couldn't see anything that was going on really.
Yeah,
that's true. So
and the Saving Private Ryan one is perfect.
You see everything.
It's perfect.
It's like because that's such a big beach, and it's like you oversee the whole thing.
The jungle's hard. The jungle's hard
Yeah.
to.
The jungle's hard to kind of capture, but whenever in Saving Private Ryan, I guess like what really got me was like whenever the guy picks up his own arm in Saving Private Ryan. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
But then in the Jacob's Ladder scene, there's a guy limping around on one leg with his leg on by like a thread.
I had that in my notes, so I wanted to bring it up. That was, first off, it looked really
like
amazing.
It was great. It was great.
It looked really good, and that was freaky. That freaked me out.
Yeah, like when you talk about scary things in movies, monsters, like stuff like that doesn't really get me. Things that get me is like gore like that. Not just like blood, but like gore when you see bones breaking and like that type of stuff really makes me cringe.
Seeing oh man, I didn't want to think about it. Okay, we'll get past it. So as soon as Jacob gets stabbed, right, he kind of starts his trek up what we call like Jacob's Ladder, right? You're familiar with Jacob's Ladder, right? Are you familiar with Jacob's Ladder? So it's like it was mentioned in Genesis. It was seen in a dream by the prophet Jacob, right? And it's kind of supposed to be seen as this stairway or this ladder, right, to heaven. And so that's kind of what this whole, like, what half of the movie represents is the Christianity and the Jacob's Ladder and like everything about the prophet Jacob. And the other half kind of is supposed to reflect on what was going on in Vietnam at the time and the stuff that was being tested on these U.S. soldiers and stuff that was happening on prisoners of war. And like, so how I see this movie is like kind of a mesh of like Christianity and trying to shed light on Vietnam, right?
I took it as all the scenes with
Jezzy.
Yeah, everything with Jizzy.
Jezebel.
Yeah, Jezebel.
Okay.
Everything with her was like hell, and then all the flashbacks were heaven.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what I kind of took it as.
Okay, I feel like
this is what I was interested in.
Go ahead.
Right. You're right. There's two things. The chemist describes the come down off the drug when everyone gets violent as falling down a ladder, and when he gives I don't know if it's a flashback or a flash. It is a flashback but his son was alive.
No, so go ahead.
After the ice bath.
So okay,
he goes through that whole ordeal and he describes to his wife, I had a nightmare that I was married to Jezebel, or like living with Jezebel, and she's like, oh, sounds like hell or something. She said something like that. So that's interesting.
Yeah, because I think he fantasized about that in real life, and this is actually crazy because we were talking about this after you went to the library yesterday. How once you die, once you flatline, once your heart starts beating, you go through every significant part of your life and you replay it in your head and you relive it.
Yeah, like I've seen like scientists like like stuff on
was
people's
it
minds.
DNT
Right before they die.
Yes.
And like
so,
their brain waves like go like skyrocket.
Yeah, so I'm thinking he's like reliving like his son's death, his fantasies about Jezebel, or if he even cheated on his wife with Jezebel.
Yeah.
Like all that is going through his head and he's reliving it.
So basically how I see it, right, is that everything with Sarah, right, which was his wife, and everything with Gabe, which was his little kid, and Jet, that's all of like the positive aspects of his life, right? And the stuff with Jesse, it's really hard for me to see because personally I don't think that like Jacob Singer as a character, to me, like from what I saw in the movie, doesn't seem like somebody who would cheat on somebody. No. So I think that Jesse seems like kind of like a erotic fantasy, right? Like it's a girl that he works with and he's around every single day, right? Yeah. And then Louis, his chiropractor, right, is supposed to be his guardian angel, right? Yeah. Kind of he's the guy that kind of guides him through everything, right?
Wait, so you don't think that him and Jesse ever?
No. See, I think that's pure fantasy.
That interferes a little bit with Will's idea that it's replaying his life then.
Yeah.
Because then all that stuff with Jezebel doesn't actually happen. Yeah. It's just like in his mind.
Yeah. But what really secured like everything was a fantasy for me, and I noticed this on, my second watch, was that when they were working, she was at the post office, right, when he gave her the food. And then another time, she said she's late for work, but she's in like a button down and a skirt.
Yeah, she's not in post office.
You don't wear that. You don't wear that to the post office,
bro. Like
so everything just kind of.
That's the thing. Like, everything about her. Okay, so let's kind of get back on track with the storyline.
Yep.
Right. So Jacob gets stabbed. Right. As soon as he gets stabbed, that's kind of when we start his thing about like his trek up Jacob's ladder, right? He gets thrown into a subway, right? And there's a subway station, and there's a woman, and there's a homeless person passed out, right? Gosh. Yeah. So
I hated that.
That was like there's a lot of aspects. This like, did you get creeped out at all during this movie at all or not at all?
Creeped out might not be the right word. Like
you get little goosebumps, you get like a little heart drop, like anything along those lines.
A little like disgust would be more of the word. Like
disgust for sure.
Especially the part where they're in like it seems like the sanatorium.
Like in the hospital?
Yeah. That's crazy.
The worst part of the whole movie.
Yeah,
the worst part of the whole movie.
Yes.
Especially like when the guy is beating his head right in the same spot, and he was bleeding just in that one spot. Oh my god!
I wrote this.
I hated them seeing the limbs on the groground.
Yeah. And the limbs on the ground, and the
under.
Yes, and the wheels. Oh
yeah, I want to bring up the wheels. The wheels, like it even happens with shopping carts. The wheels that shakes, it represented the demons that like shook their head really fast.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a cool little Easter egg. Like the shaking wheel.
Yeah, kind of like
yeah.
And those sounds that those demons would make is just unbelievable to me. Anyway, so as soon as he ends up in the subway, right, we see all like it's right off the bat we see signs of
on the PS3.
Yeah. We see signs of heaven and hell, right?
Yep.
So
on the subway it says hell straight up.
Yeah, it says hell. And then he gets off the subway, right? Because he sees this homeless person has like a tail.
Oh, dude, I hated that so much.
Dude, and that just might be something like from the '90s that like CGI wasn't that good yet, but
so it looks even grosser.
It just looks disgusting. Anyway, so he gets off the subway, right, and he's trying to pass over the tracks because the street that he's trying to go to was across the tracks, and all of his were locked, or whatever. All the stations were locked on his side. So he's trying to go over, and so on the subway, right, we see literal like you're going to hell, like are you going to hell ? On the subway, and then as he's passing the subway tracks, we see a bright shining light approaching him, right. And I mean, throughout all of religion, everybody says that whenever you're dying, you see an approaching light, right? Like you're going towards the light.
I didn't think about that.
But this time, the light was coming towards him, right? And so he dodges that light, right? Because like whenever that subway was coming towards him, he was like, oh, which way do I go? Which way is it going? He ends up on the other side of it. And so he dodges the light. And then behind the light were all of these demons and all of these, like realistically in the movie they were probably just mannequins, but they were all of these people inside of that subway
Does that
station,
represent like
right?
him missing hell?
That doesn't represent him missing hell. That means that he's climbing his ladder, like on the way up. Like that's another trek up, right? Because
how so?
okay, so Jacob's ladder is like your trek up to heaven, right? And so this light is coming towards
first
you.
step.
Yep, this light is coming towards you, but he dodges that. So right then, if he would have gotten hit by that train, because in reality he's in Vietnam. Right? Like he just got stabbed, but he's not dying right now. Right? That light's coming towards him. He like now like whenever we look at it from a third person perspective, we see that light is coming towards him and that like eventually that light's going to reach him, but he dodges it. Right? So that to me is that he's like that's a spot on the ladder that he's going up. Right? Like he's going towards death, but he dodged it. Right? Or not? Or do you guys see that as another?
No, I agree. I agree.
And so after that, we see that he goes back to the apartment with Jesse, and we're introduced to her, and we see that he's a mailman, this and that. He's a mailman. And then he goes and drops off food to Jesse, and then we're first introduced to Louis, right? So do you guys see Louis as kind of like a guardian angel?
He's the protector. He's like, if Louis is there, everything's okay.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like he's the guy that kind of. And what else is he in? What? I feel like I've seen him in stuff before.
Do the Right Thing.
You mentioned that.
Yeah.
Do the Right Thing with.
Oh yeah, we are.
The Godfather Part 2.
I haven't seen The Godfather or The Godfather Part 2. So that's a hurt. That's a hurt on my part right there.
Yeah, it is. He's also in something called Hudson Hawk with Bruce Willis and Moonstruck.
Can I see him?
And Leon. You've seen that.
Oh yeah, he's in.
Leon
You've seen Leon?
with Natalie Portman.
I've not seen
Yeah.
Leon.
Have you seen it? That's a weird movie.
Is it about Sergio? I mean, who's it about?
It's about like an assassin.
Oh, so it's not about a real person?
I don't think so, unless I'm mistaken. Yeah.
Anyway.
He's a great actor. Just not.
Yeah.
I like him.
And especially in this movie, like he's really really easy to like in this movie just because he kind of plays like realistically he's the only protagonist in this whole movie.
Yeah.
Like he's the only guy that can help out. So he goes and visits Louis. We're introduced to Jesse, and whenever he first goes to see Louis, he's getting his back worked on. He's like a chiropractor or whatever, right? And then at one point, if you guys remember, he takes Jacob's neck and cracks it. And then he gets a flash into Vietnam,
Yeah.
right?
That was a cool scene.
So so whenever he gets that flash back into Vietnam, that's his reality. Like that's what's really happening, right? And then
okay. Yeah,
that's what's really happening with the red lights, and they first find him, right? And so after that, he comes back and he looks up at Louis, and Louis has white light, like all behind him, right? And so that's like clear that.
Yeah. And he says you look like an angel.
Yeah, he looks like an angel.
What did Louis say? Like many people told me that, or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So that's clear, but like what you don't really realize until later is that whenever like Louis cracked his neck, like that was him getting pushed back into reality for a second, right? Like waking up in Vietnam. Like whenever he's being carried through the jungle, being found through red lights, like stuff like that.
So it doesn't matter, but did he know Louis before Vietnam?
So I don't know what Louis is. So that's the thing is like we only know Jacob as a Vietnam soldier.
Right.
Like we don't know what his life was before. Like realistically, like everything could be made up.
Yeah.
Like we have no idea what is his reality, what couldn't have happened, but like what we were able to infer is like he was a post office worker, he worked with Jesse, he was married to Sarah, and Gabe died, unfortunately. Right? Like that's what we're able to like confirm. you know. But everything with Paul and everything with all of the fellow Vietnam soldiers, like there's none of that could have possibly happened. But that's way far away.
Well, there's also a fact that you can't dream about someone that you've never seen before, which I honestly don't believe, because I see people in my dreams that have no idea who they are.
Well, you say that, but I mean,
you just see someone on the street.
Yeah. And like your person, your brain just like, oh wow, person.
It would have been really cool if they hinted in Louis somewhere.
Yeah, like walking in the street or just something crazy like that. Yeah. Okay, so whenever Jacob is talking to Louis, he talks about how he's fighting demons, but he calls them creatures, right? He says that he sees creatures like around, you know. So he's referring to on the subway, and the next scene that we see is whenever they go to the party at like the house party in New York City.
Did we skip over the part where he tried to go see the doctor and the doctor was dead?
That we're not there yet.
Oh, we're not there yet?
No.
Okay.
So the palm reader at the party, right? He meets this random person on like a staircase. Right? And so she grabs his hand and she tells him about like, oh, like you're a married man. Oh, divorced. You know, like
makes so much sense now. The lifeline makes so much sense.
So she's looking at his hand, and then eventually she looked at his hand and goes, well, this is funny. You remember what she says?
You're dead already.
Yeah.
You're dead already.
Yeah.
You know? And so
that's a paper cut.
He said, no, that's a paper cut. And so Jacob kind of goes into this full panic attack, and he sees Jezebel, or Jezzy. Somebody else.
Getting attacked by a dragon. I don't know. I hated all of that.
I don't know how else to put it.
I hated
like,
all of that.
Dude, you know, like with the tail and like.
Oh, dude. I hate.
And then the tail coming.
Why both the movies that you've picked have been like disgusting to watch. I Am Legend. I hated those.
I Am Legend wasn't terrible.
I hated those zombies, dude. They're so ugly. And like it's like I don't.
Did you pick Basic Instinct?
I did.
No.
What did you?
Basic Instinct.
Beautiful people.
Yeah, that was great. You loved it. You're on the edge of your seat the entire
I was all over that shit.
Yeah, I picked
Holy shit.
what did I pick? Oh, Chinatown. Probably our worst.
I really like Chinatown.
It's not performing great, but
Hey.
no. But anyways, yeah. So what I wrote my notes in this too. The first time watching it, and even before I watched it for a second time today.
Did you think about that?
No, I was like, why is the poster this like fading image of him like it's like someone screaming like a ghost.
Yeah.
And I realized that when he's on the ground screaming like that, like the ending shot is the faded image. I was like, oh, that's where the poster comes from. I don't know if either of you guys picked up on that.
No, I didn't know where the poster came from.
Yeah, no, but if you like look closely, he's like on the ground, and then like slows down.
Whenever he's on the floor at the party.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then like it freezes and like his face kind of like transitions.
Right.
Like, oh, that's where it came from.
So he has like this full-blown panic attack, like on the floor of this party, right? And then that was whenever all the stuff with Jezzy happened, and she was backing it up on like a crazy lizard, and then all of that just happened. And so after the panic attack, Jacob ends up coming down to something, right? And so Jezzy takes his temperature, it's 106, calls the doctor, says, get him in an ice bath. If you try to take him to the hospital, he's going to die on the way to the hospital.
Yeah.
Gets into the ice bath, knocks on doors, gets ice, this and that, and he's like, he's around all these people, right? And he says, stop it, you're killing me, right?
Yeah.
And so as soon as he snaps out of that,
Wait, but where? Are you able to tell me what part of reality that is? Like that he's in? Like in Vietnam? Like what does that mean?
So
I was gonna ask why he has 160.
Yeah.
So
why is he sick?
So I wrote out literally every single time that they switched reality. I wrote out every single time. And so he goes back to Vietnam, and then he goes to Louis. He has a panic attack at a party, and then he's being carried through Vietnam. Right?
That's when the panic attack.
He's been the panic attack happens, and then as he's in the bathtub, he's being carried through Vietnam.
So I wonder if that's like a numbing stage.
I don't know. It could be the what's the stuff they use in Knives Out? The morphine.
Oh.
Like it could be something like that. It could be the heat from the Saigon sun. I don't know. Like it could be anything along those lines. Like realistically, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's so you know how when he comes up, or like when he like melts all the ice in the ice bath, and he like kind of comes to his senses in the water, and you like zoom out, it's extreme close up. It's like only on his pupils, and it zooms out to like eventually his whole face, and then like you see he's in the bath still. That is the same. Believe there's the same shot in Vietnam from his eyes. Somewhere in the
when
movie.
he's on the like stretcher bed in the
helicopter.
helicopter.
And he's zooming out from the stretcher in the helicopter. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
I also thought about there's so many times where Tim Robbins is crying in this movie.
Yeah.
Like if you take all the times that Tim Robbins is crying, laying in bed, or in like a stretcher, the runtime is like 45 minutes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I see 106 degrees.
Okay, that's one thing. Okay. That's gonna be good.
The morphine.
Why is he 106 degrees?
The
Okay.
morphine.
Realistically, it's probably because in Vietnam they have stuff that's gonna make you feel okay before you're about to die, right? And they know that Jacob's about to die. You know, like this kid just got completely stabbed through the intestines, through the liver, through the kidney. Like they're like, okay, this guy's probably not gonna be okay.
I mean, the medics in Vietnam were like 19-year-old kids. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's
so.
true.
And why wasn't Jacob affected like that one guy that was spazzing out on the ground?
Okay, so that I really want to get to all the bees, like to all
We'll
the
get
real.
there.
All
We just have
Yeah,
questions.
I want to get to the real
Hey,
stuff.
all you gotta
later.
do is say pause.
Okay,
Move.
pause. Let's just keep going
Go
on.
ahead.
Okay, so after he's melting all this ice, right?
Yep.
And so there's a zoom in on his face, and then it zooms out, and his eyes are closed, and he's in bed with Sarah,
Yep.
right? And that was when Macaulay Culkin walks in. Daddy, can you tuck me in? Right? This and that. Like, wait, don't leave. Can you just shut the door right here? And so that is a point where, like, if you're watching this, you're like, wow. Like everything was just a dream, you know. Like if the movie were to end right there, and he wakes up in bed with Sarah and his kids, you're like, okay, so all of Vietnam wasn't real, or maybe Vietnam was just a flashback. All of Jesse wasn't real. Like if he were to just wake up right there, you're like, okay, now that's reality. Because I remember the first time I watched this movie, I was like, this is like that's what's real.
The first time and the second time, I was like, I can't remember if it goes back to Jesse or if this is a big reveal. The second time you're watching it.
That's the thing. That's a big that's like a big part about this movie because that is one of the first parts that we actually see Sarah, and it's the first time that we meet Gabe. Like we see a picture of Gabe, of Macaulay Culkin's character, but we don't actually meet him. You know.
It's weird though because the way Sarah acts kind of leads on to thinking that they didn't have a good relationship. She was kind of rude and snappy.
No, she was very like she was very lenient
And like fun.
No,
Well,
she was so fun. Like she was like because Jacob was like, I'm having like I had a
that
dream.
was crazy.
I had a
She had
dream.
some
I was
nice
sleeping.
thighs.
I had a dream. I was sleeping with another woman. She had nice thighs, and he goes, "Cheat on me, see what happens." Blah blah.
Yeah,
blah.
well, see that the entire movie was that way because that's how that's how Jesse acted too. I think the
Yeah.
entire movie was written that way.
Well, Jesse was kind of more defensive, in my opinion.
It's true.
Jesse's
not a bad person.
She
She's
switched
like
up
Jezebel in the
so.
No, she's terrible.
fast.
She's terrible.
Wait,
she is literally
Jezebel in the Bible.
Jezebel in the Bible is like a terrible person.
she's literally the devil. Literally the devil. Yeah, like she's literally
when when her pupils went all black.
Okay, we're almost there. We're almost there. So Jacob has his panic attack, ends up in bed with Sarah, and then snaps back into consciousness in the bed, and he wakes up, right? He wakes up and Jesse is sitting right there, and he goes, "Am I dead?"
Yeah. No, you melted 8 buckets of ice in
You melted
4 hours.
50 pounds of ice, blah, blah, blah.
In 8 hours.
Yeah. And then she comes up to him, right? And she goes, "You should go for a walk today. You should go see a movie. You should go do something." And Jacob's just sitting there, like, blank space, like, he was just passed out for hours. You know, like, he has no idea what just happened to him. And then she goes, "Are you listening to me?"
Oh.
And then comes up to him with blacked out pupils. "Anybody in there?"
Why would she ask that?
Oh my God.
In any situation.
That was like, that was easily like the top 3 moments that have stuck with me the most throughout this whole movie. Anybody in there with the full blacked out pupils?
Because that was so fast,
then-
like it
and
didn't
then
even affect me that much. It was like, it's over that fast.
That gave me chills.
He pushes her back and goes, "Who are you?" And then she was like, "I don't need this. I don't need you.
Yeah.
This and that." You know. But that, like, those blacked out pupils and like, oh my gosh, like I don't even really know how to explain that.
I have a question. At this point in the movie, are you thinking that he's crazy, or are you thinking that, you know, like the world around him is going crazy, like he's in, you know?
Okay, realistically, the first time that I saw it, I'm like, wow, like this dude is because okay, this is really hard for me to explain, but I'm gonna try my best to explain it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Deep breath.
Okay. So, throughout the entire movie, right, we see like Vietnam happening and Jezebel happening, and then he wakes up with Sarah and Gabe, right? And then he tucks Gabe in and walks out of Gabe's room and goes and gets back into bed with Sarah, right? And so how I see it is Jacob continuing the dream that he was just in, right? But he's in bed with Sarah because he had just said, like, this girl had, like, I was with another woman, this and that. And then he wakes up and then tucks in Gabe and then walks out of the room, gets back in bed with Sarah, and then Jezebel continues. And then he ends up back with Jezebel in that.
So at this point, you thought reality.
At the first time I saw it, I thought that reality was Sarah and the kids.
I can totally see that point of view.
Yeah. But what did you think?
No, I wasn't sure, but I basically thought that I was confused, and I basically thought the same thing. I was like, okay, this guy's a war veteran. He obviously struggles with some sort of PTSD, or like he's had flashbacks all the time. So obviously, like one of these 2 versions is the real one. One of them's not. It turns out that neither of them are. But I was like, okay, there's obviously like some problem in his life. Like he's divorced from his wife, and his kid died. So like. A dream would make sense that his kid's not dead and he's back with his wife, so that would make sense that that's a dream. At
this point, though, you didn't even see the possibility of he's actually in Vietnam.
No, I did not.
Did you?
But you see it.
You're now, like whenever you see it now, you're like, okay, like I can understand how that was.
But you are about to come to the point in the movie chronologically where I was like, wait, neither of these are real.
Okay, let's get there. So what did you think?
I was still confused, and I've seen the movie before.
Because realistically, there's 3 possibilities that this guy can really be in.
Yeah.
It's either he's with his wife and his kids, he's with the woman from the post office, or he's...
he can also be crazy.
I was thinking, there's no way in the world that this is like a sane person. This is someone who's dealing with some sort of issue, like schizophrenia or something, and he's seeing demons.
Yeah.
So I was like, like when he pushed Jezebel, I was like, who are you? I didn't see him as like, oh wow, he's fighting demons. Like no, like a dude just like a schizophrenic dude just shoved his girlfriend. I didn't see like, oh crap, he's fighting the demons off.
Yeah.
Well, what I thought was he actually affected by DZ, or does he just have PTSD? That's what I was going back and forth.
Okay, so that's like the hardest part about this is like, this is so hard because this whole movie is a double meaning. It's like the BZ stuff is like, it's literally the director and the writers trying to incorporate it in the storyline, but okay, It's gonna be really hard for me to explain this unless we get through the whole thing. We just gotta keep going.
Chugging along.
We just gotta keep going. Okay. So, whenever Jacob gets that whenever Jesse is like, who are and Jacob's like, who are you? Right? You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
He gets a call from a guy named Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And this guy Paul says,
Crazy.
I'm Paul G, something like that. I need to see you. Right? And that was the guy in the first scene. I was like, yes.
I was trying to do that when they were talking and his eyes were on. I was like trying to do it while watching the movies. I don't know how he does that.
Camera just got some.
I don't know. He was like doing that.
The camera just got some from me, so.
Yeah. And like, it was crazy. Anyway, so Paul says, I need to see you. They meet up at some pool bar or whatever, at pool hall. And they
get on with it.
They meet up and Paul says like, Jacob, I'm going to hell. Like, I'm going to hell. They're following me. Him too. They're coming to get me, this and that.
So is he dying too or what?
And
in Vietnam.
I don't know. I don't think that they're gonna have some type of spiritual connection. I think that this is purely Jacob's journey.
Okay, but what are the other Vietnam veterans and his journey? Like, what does that represent?
They're people that he has been with throughout the entire time. So there are people like within his mind. There are people that are going to go through it with him. Like, but only within him.
Yep.
Yeah,
because
that makes sense why they don't.
But that's why they don't continue on the journey because
with
he
the lawyer
realizes
and
he's dead.
stuff.
Yeah, because it's him by himself.
Gotcha.
You know. So they meet up. They talk about how the demons, and the question eventually ends up as what happened that night. You know, what happened that night in Vietnam, which is the first scene of the movie that we see, right?
Mm-hmm.
With everybody going crazy, everybody ate the porridge or the grits or whatever it was, right? Whatever the stuff that had the BZ in it.
Ving Rhames threw up blood a bunch of times.
Exactly. And so the question becomes, what happened that night? But this is like I did research on this for a whole semester.
No?
And I did like research on hallucinogenics, and like I read stories from people that were actually in Vietnam and stuff like that. Like, this was a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, this really happened to people, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, people like were in Vietnam and got tested on and survived. Mm-hmm. And then got released back into society and couldn't handle it. Mm-hmm. And like didn't know what happened to them, and knew that they had been somewhere but couldn't pinpoint exactly where they were. Mm-hmm. Like this was a real thing. And that's the thing is like this movie is like Jacob's ladder, right? Like him like going up and like chronologically is like it's supposed to replicate a Vietnam soldier going through the effects of BZ. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, just because I've like done I did a lot of stuff on this, and like I really think that like this movie is supposed to be a Vietnam soldier going through the effects of BZ, but also a Vietnam soldier dying and going up to heaven.
Yeah.
Like I think it's supposed to be kind of a thing that does kind of like a pyramid movement. You know what I mean? Intercepting. Like I feel like this is just something that I don't know. Anyway, I thought a lot about it. It's kind of like why I wanted to talk about it. And then Paul fucking blows up, right?
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that.
He blows the fuck up. You know, I don't know.
Paul and Louis.
Paul.
Supposedly.
Well, Louis didn't.
But they said he did.
Dr. Carlson did.
Dr. Carlson.
Yeah, Louis never blew up.
Louis is not Dr. Carlson.
Whoa,
Dr. Carlson is his doctor who was also in Vietnam with him. So he was a soldier too. How did you not get this? This is my first time watching this.
Okay, well I thought.
Yeah,
I thought it was Louis Carlson.
No.
Oh my gosh, and that's why I saw him later. I was gonna ask about that too.
No. So
wow, I'm dumb.
So, okay. So Dr. Carlson was like a doctor, right? Like he's like an actual, like, I don't think he was a medic in Vietnam, but I think he was like a person that was in Vietnam.
That makes so much more sense.
And was a doctor. And so, let me get back to where I was. Paul blows up. And so, Dr. Carlson had blown up like that. That happened a couple scenes ago. We've already kind of passed that. But at Paul's funeral, we introduced to the other soldiers, right, and the other people that were kind of involved in that night. And the one guy that was a super dark-skinned guy, I feel like it was the guy that played the boss in Pulp Fiction. That's who he reminded me of.
Was that Rames?
I don't know the guy's name.
Wasn't him, but I understand.
But you understand where I'm coming from. He kind of had the backwards hat, and he had, you know what I'm talking about. What's the guy's name in Pulp Fiction though?
Ving Rhames.
Marcellus Wallace.
Marcellus Wallace.
Oh yeah, okay.
Is that
Ving Rhames is in it too? That's what I was saying. Ving Rhames is the guy spitting up blood in the first scene.
Is that who plays Marcellus Wallace in Pulp Fiction?
No.
Oh, that's the character's name. Oh my gosh. Ving Rhames is Marcel. Yeah. Ving Rhames.
Wait, what?
Is that the same guy? It's the same guy.
Ving
It's the
Rhames.
same guy
Yes, bro.
in Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah.
Holy shit! He plays Marcellus
I
Wallace.
told you.
Oh my God, we gotta leave it all in now. You gotta leave that all in. You gotta leave that all in.
Got a little part out.
That's fucking awesome. So the guy who plays Marcellus Wallace is the guy.
The guy that dropped his beer?
Yeah, the guy who dropped his beer.
That does not look like no Marcellus
It
Wallace.
looks exactly like him. It's the same guy, same build, same baldness.
All right, to be fair, we only see the back of Marcellus Wallace's head.
John, no, Ving Rhames is a pretty famous actor.
No, I don't know anything else he's in. Name one other movie.
A lot.
Oh,
Okay.
I've never seen that one.
Okay, he's in a lot of John Travolta films.
Pulp Fiction.
I think Get Shorty. He's also in.
Is he gonna get Shorty?
Yeah, I think so.
It's a strange movie.
Yeah, very strange. I know. I can. George Clooney's in it too, but I can't think of the name.
Oh,
right now.
Ocean's 11.
Oh, Fantastic Mr. Fox.
No.
Ocean's 12.
Bro.
13.
Out of sight. That's the movie.
Outside, out of mind.
Out of sight.
Okay, alright.
George
Continue, bro. Holy shit. Okay, so Jacob gets introduced, the audience is introduced to all these other people that were involved in that night, including Marcellus Wallace, or whatever his name is.
Ving Rhames.
Ving Rhames. Whatever the fuck, dude. so we're introduced to this, and they all end up, so they're all at Paul's funeral, and then they all end up on the roof. They're like, look, something sketchy happened that night. Like, some shit went down.
Why does one guy not
good.
have anything going on with him though?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
Weird one.
Yeah, that dude's a cuck. For sure. Anyway, so these all the guys decide, you know what, we're gonna go to a lawyer and we're gonna go fucking sue the US Army. That's like the first thing. They're like, okay, this is what we're gonna go do.
Yeah.
Right? So they go visit a lawyer, but he doesn't take the case. Right? He doesn't take the case and everybody backs out. Why do you guys think that is?
Well, I thought it was because they were threatened. Because
By who?
the same people that threatened.
The government people?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that
Well,
what
I
you
thought,
too?
well, thinking about it now that I know that he was in Vietnam, that he like realized that they might not be dead with him.
No, he never realized that there's any type of life and death situation.
Okay,
going on.
I know, but subconsciously, that's why.
Subconsciously, yes, but it's like
It's not him realizing that they're not dead. It's just like
until they're
They're not.
in the hospital. He doesn't.
well, I know, but I'm saying like he's assuming, but IRL, they're not.
Right. So everybody backs out, and somebody says, "War is war. Things happen." Right? It's like whatever happened in Vietnam stays in Vietnam, just like whatever happens in Chinatown
Stays in Chinatown.
It's Chinatown, Jake.
clip fucking that, dude. Clip
yeah.
that
If you
shit.
ever do the short ever again.
So eventually we see that we're. Is that it me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Grab it in there.
Don't act like you do anything for this fucking channel, dude. Don't act like you do shit. Don't act like you do shit. You made a graphic once. You're like, oh. You made a graphic one time. Like, yeah, like, oh, let's put my graphic up here.
That's mine.
Well, okay, whatever. Anyway, so the lawyer, right? That fucking busted ass.
Bald-headed.
That 70s show, Big Bang Theory, fucking ass lawyer, dude. He checks the army database, right? right? He checks the Army database, and that reveals that Jacob and his friends never went to Vietnam and were discharged on psychological grounds, right? Because they were mentally fucked up, right? But why were they mentally fucked up?
Well, I thought it was, at the time I was like, oh, the government scrubbed the records. They've changed the records because they don't want something to be revealed.
It's both. It's a double entendre. Because, so, the government took them off the records, right? Because the same guys that got Jacob are the same guys that got the other people. And they got rid of the records because Jacob was talking. But the same reason off of psychological means is because of BZ. So that's kind of where I'm talking about. Is like it kind of has this double thing. So off the psychological grounds, they were discharged off of that, and then he got approached by government individuals, and one of the government individuals said, "You're in over your head. People drown that way." Right. So that's basically like, if you don't shut the fuck up, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
That's how I saw that. Is that how you saw that? And also, like, I was thinking about this too. Like, if you're trying to, if you pick up somebody and you're trying to intimidate somebody, if you're driving recklessly.
Yeah. I thought the exact same thing. Why is he speeding right now?
Yeah, like he's speeding and swerving and like doing all this crazy shit.
Yeah. Why is he? Yeah.
For like an intimidation.
That draws attention to yourself.
Yeah. And so he gets thrown out of that car, like completely thrown out of that car. Gets robbed by a Salvation Army Santa Claus, and then ends up in the hospital.
Oh,
he can't move.
Right, he can't move. His back's fucked up. Right, and so whenever these medics, what do you call them? Paramedics. They're wheeling him in. Right, and he goes, "What happened to you?" My back hurts, this and that. Well, are you okay? I got robbed by Santa Claus, something like that. I need to get back at him, that bastard. Right? And it's like,
don't call Santa
to the paramedics. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with this
psychotherapy?
But realistically, like us, like we literally just saw this guy get pickpocketed by a Salvation Army Santa Claus. I gotta go get the bastard. I gotta go get the bastard. And that's when we see him getting wheeled through all the people. We see him getting wheeled through some fucked up shit.
Well, he sees his wife and kid first, doesn't he?
No, he sees them after. He sees them after. So he gets wheeled through, right? And then like all the limbs and all the stuff and all the people, and then he gets wheeled through, and then ends up in a hospital bed, right?
Yeah.
And his wife and kids come to meet him. Or no. Holy shit, there's so much right here that I love. Okay, so he gets wheeled through into this back room, and there's all these people with masks on, right? And Jesse is one of them.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Remember that? So Jesse's in this hospital room, right? And this is like supposed to be the same reality that she is his wife, like his girlfriend, right? And so she's in this room and he goes, "Jesse, help me." Right? And she looks at him, looks down at him, looks back up and around, right? And so after that, we're met with this doctor, right? And this doctor is trying to convince him that like, you're already dead, you're already on your way to hell.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing we can do for you. And Jacob says, "I'm not dead." And then the doctor says, "What are you then?" And then Jacob says confidently, like very confidently, "I'm alive." Like he's fighting for his life, you know? Like he's fighting for his life. And then the doctor says, "Then what are you doing here?" And then Jacob says, like very scared, "I don't know." You guys remember that part of the movie?
Yeah.
Like that was like that is probably the most powerful part of the movie for me. Because like that's him fighting for his life, but then being scared at the same time. Like that's him coming in and out of like different mentality. Like what did you guys think about that part?
I just hated the shot to the skull.
The skull? With the guy with no eyes?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
no, not even that. Just freaking piercing his skull with that thick needle was. Whew.
Yeah, it was really something, wasn't it?
Sure was.
Yeah. And so after that happens, right, he gets fucking stuck square in the middle of the fucking cranium.
Still like Chuck.
Still like Chuck. He gets stuck square in the middle of the cranium by that syringe. And then he wakes up and he gets visited by Sarah, right? Like his wife and the twins.
Yeah. Were they twins?
But not Gabe. Yeah.
Oh.
But not Gabe. Why
Are you
not
sure
Gabe?
on that?
Yeah.
Is
I've done extensive research on that.
well in the reality where he's with Jezebel, Gabe's dead.
Well,
Gabe's dead regardless.
Gabe's dead regardless, but like at this point in the order, Gabe's not there for some reason. Why? Why isn't Gabe there? I mean, Gabe's okay, you know, like Gabe's a good kid.
At that point.
You tell me.
So here's what I think.
I thought he was dead.
Okay, you want me to
I
tell
thought he
you?
was dead, too.
Okay, you want me to fucking tell you then, dude? Yeah, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Okay,
Cool,
so
cool.
okay, so whenever Jacob, right, is being wheeled through, right,
Yep.
he sees a bike
Yeah.
and he goes, Gabe, Gabe.
He jumped off the bike.
No,
No,
Gabe,
got
Gabe
run
got
over.
fucking railed by a bike, dude. So at this point, right, like we had only seen
Take it back
pictures.
to Pulp Fiction or
We
what?
had only seen pictures. It's not a motorcycle, baby. It's a chopper. Anyway, so we only seen pictures. Okay, you don't get that, do you? It's not a motorcycle, baby. It's a chopper.
Is that a Pulp Fiction quote?
Okay, you haven't even seen the movie, have you?
I
Have you?
have. It's been a minute though. I missed that part of it. Yes.
Anyway,
It's been 2 minutes.
so
I don't remember every line of Pulp Fiction. I don't.
so we see like this bike that's like fucked up. You know, like it's been hit, like it's been hit by a car. You
That
know?
drew chills to me.
The Drew.
It drew chills.
Yeah, it was fucked up. Anyway, so
What,
that's
Nate?
that's why Gabe wasn't there.
Bro,
was because as he was being wheeled through the hospital, holy shit, y'all fuck off. As we were being wheeled through the hospital,
Huh?
right? We see this bike, right? And he goes, Gabe. So that says to us that Gabe has already been passed away. Like Gabe is not a part of this reality whatsoever. And so, hold on, let me get back to where I am. And so he's visited by Sarah and the kids in the hospital.
Why does this kid make a joke?
The reason that what kid makes a joke? Gabe?
One of the twins.
Jed.
It's like,
Bro,
oh,
because because Jacob's like, am I dying? He's like, Dad, your back is just a little fucked up.
hang in there, Dad.
Like, hang in there, Dad. Like, your back is like out of line a little bit. Like, you're not gonna fucking die. Like, that's the joke.
No, I thought it was because his foot was hanging up there.
Maybe.
Like, where's he gonna go?
Yeah.
You know.
So that's whenever we figure out that Gabe's reason, like the way that he died, is explained, right? In that moment, right?
By bike.
By the bike. And so after the hospital, you know, he's like, am I okay? Am I gonna die? This and that. And then his other kid, Jet, makes a joke.
Jed.
Like, Jed.
Jed.
Okay.
Jedediah.
It's not Sandlot. Benny the Jet. It's not.
Here's another little quote for you. Whose chopper is this? Zed. Who's Zed? Zed's dead, honey. Zed's dead, baby. You know what I'm talking about? But it's Jed
It's a Pulp Fiction bike.
instead of Jed.
Please don't put Pulp Fiction on the thumbnail.
We'll see what we're talking about.
Okay.
Here's the thing. That has to be the criteria for the thumbnails that everybody has to have seen the movie, and you clearly fucking.
Bro.
Okay, so we figure out why Gabe died, this and that, blah de blah, and so after the hospital, Jacob wakes up back in his bed with Jesse right in front of him. He's like, and so Jesse, like he wakes up and he's like looking in the mirror. And he sees the heads going, right? Like he looks
Heads
in the
of
mirror. Those heads.
Oh, okay.
He looks in the mirror and he sees those heads. And then Jessie walks in and she goes, Jake, like, where have you been? You've been gone for 2 days.
Oh, yeah.
Like, how have I not seen you? And then he goes, I was in the hospital.
I can't believe you didn't mention Danny Aiello wheeling him out.
Yeah,
Busting him out.
That was crazy.
You missed that part.
Well, can I also mention that everyone good in the story, assuming Sarah's good, calls him Jacob.
Yeah.
And everyone bad calls him Jake.
Interesting. It's almost like Jake's a terrible name.
Wait, back in the bathtub, Paul blows up. Wakes up in a gunfight in the chopper, hospital syringe.
He's not watching.
Carried through Vietnam. Sarah and the kids. Fuck.
You watched it.
I'm a terrible note taker. Okay. So, where are we right now?
I haven't seen you in 2 days.
I'm seeing you today, Sarah.
I haven't seen you in 2 days. And then as soon as that happens, then he gets a ring on the telephone. Right? And Sarah answers
the
it.
chemist.
And from the chemist, but he goes, you haven't seen me, and you haven't seen me,
I'm
you
not
don't
here.
know where I am, I'm not here. Right? So Sarah answers the phone, like this and that. He's like, oh, he's not here right now. Vietnam, chemical experiment. And then Jacob grabs the phone. Right? So he meets with the chemist from Saigon, and then I don't know what his name is in the movie. I don't think he ever gives his name. Just the chemist, right?
Yeah.
Whatever the
He
chemist is.
looks like a Charlie.
So he basically says that.
Wait, can I stop you?
Go ahead.
This is a big backtrack.
Oh,
But, like, huge. Can you explain why the car was chasing him? Is that Death chasing him in the alleyway? Is that Death?
oh my God, that's so long ago.
I know. I had a question. I'm
It's
sorry.
like 3 pages.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So you're talking about whenever the people go, hey, yeah, wait a minute,
No, no,
Mr.
no, no.
Postman.
Yeah, he walks down the alley.
Hey, yeah,
Alright, okay, okay.
Mr. Postman.
We get it. We get it.
And then he keeps walking down the alley,
Yes.
right? And then
The
some
car with the
guy,
faces again.
the guy, do you realize who the guy is that's
Yes,
saying
chemist.
watch out?
It's the
Yeah.
chemist. So it's DZ coming.
So it's BZ. But basically,
Sorry, I'm a sorority man. DZ for life.
I wish I could do the hand symbol. I don't know.
all right. So him being chased down the alleyway, right? Okay, I'm actually about to blow your mind.
Blow it.
Are you ready?
Pause.
to
Alright,
ready.
can we cut that out?
No, leave that in.
I'm ready. Let's
Leave that in. Okay, so basically what that is, right, is that was very, very early in the movie. Well, I'm dead serious. I need you to listen to me right now.
I'm listening.
Because if this is like a genuine question of yours, like,
Why would it be a joke?
Okay.
Question.
so we see Jacob walking down the alley, and then we see the chemist walk out and say, watch out, right? So the car is supposed to represent the drug BZ, and the chemist saying, watch out, is him saying, I warned them. I warned them of what would happen.
That's what I thought.
That's pretty good, right? Like a drug trying to come and get him, and the chemist that made the drug saying, watch out, get out of the way. Whenever the chemist really did say, and then the people driving the car are supposed to be like the U.S. government, the army, like something along those lines, right? Okay, so we're good there.
Sorry for that. But
No, but you got that now.
yeah,
It's a really good movie.
it's
a really good movie. It's really deep. Okay, so meets with the chemist of Saigon, explains the tests that were done on. So first he explains the monkeys, right? He explains that there were tests done on monkeys and like chimpanzees, and that they like tore each other apart, right? And then the army approved tests to go to like human tests. And they did it on prisoners of war. So basically what that would be was like Vietnamese soldiers that got captured at that point. Like, that's what would have happened. And like, this is all real stuff that really happened, but I don't think that I researched it for like 18 weeks.
an entire semester. You
But I never heard anything about chimpanzees. So I don't know, like maybe I didn't look far enough, but I don't think that chimpanzees were a real thing. That's probably just a thing for the movie. Yeah. But I know they did it on prisoners of war, and I know they did it on like U.S. troops that were in Vietnam. So
did it
they
actually
did.
have the drastic effects it had, or was that a little overhyped in the
We're
movie?
almost there.
Okay.
We're almost there. So he meets with the chemist in Saigon, explains the test on the prisoners of war, and then after that, Jacob comes back right, to his old apartment where with Sarah, right? And so he ends up back at the place that he knew as home, right? Like, this is not the Jesse fantasy. This is not anything outside of what he knew before Vietnam, right? He walks back in, sits on the couch, sits there until sunrise, right? Like, until
Falls asleep.
And yeah, falls asleep, sits there until sunrise, and then the sun comes up, right? And he stands up, and he turns around, and he sees Gabe sitting there with a little toy motorcycle, or like whatever it was, a little toy car.
Wind box.
Wind box.
What are those called?
I don't know.
Jack in the Box.
No, it's like a
Just move on.
like a like you wind.
Whack-a-mole.
No, you like wind it back and it plays a lullaby. I had one of them.
Oh, a lullaby, a ballerina, like what is it?
Like one of those. Like you twist it.
Holy shit!
No, not that.
No, that's a Jack in the Box.
You twist it and then you put it down and you go to
A music box?
Oh, yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter.
A music box. I think that has it well. So Jacob ends up going back to his old apartment, right?
Yep.
He falls asleep, okay? And then we hear heartbeats.
Do we?
You remember the heartbeats?
Yeah, there's heartbeats.
The heartbeats, there's like, da-doom. And then it would show Vietnam, da-doom. And then it showed Jezebel,
Yeah, okay.
da-doom. And then it showed Sarah, da-doom. Showed back to Vietnam, and then, doom. Like, not a da-doom, but a doom.
A dome.
And showed Gabe, right?
Yeah.
And then we end up back in the apartment, and he walks over to Gabe that was sitting there. He goes, "Come on, Daddy, it's time to go."
Yeah, then they walk up the stairs.
And they walk up the stairs into the light,
The
Right,
stairway
my
to
story's
heaven.
favorite.
And-
That's like the big.
and that's like the big thing. Like
Jacob's ladder.
He completed Jacob's ladder, right? And then after Jacob's ladder, it fades up into the light, and then it fades back down into Vietnam. He put up one hell of a fight. He did his best. We lost him.
Yeah.
Well, he was peaceful, but he put up one hell of a fight.
He put up one hell of a fight. And so that was like, so you, Nate, right?
Yeah.
So in your letterbox review, you say that it was all for nothing, right? Wow. But realistically, all of this happened, like the whole movie happened within his mental, with him only being truly present in reality for maybe a minute.
Yeah.
So whenever you say that, like, it's all for nothing, that's him going through his entire life.
It's true.
That's him going through every single sin that he's ever committed, every single demon that he's ever faced, every single obstacle that he's ever had to pass through, right? And so whenever you say that, like, it's all for nothing, I don't understand how you think that.
So I wanted to bring this up earlier, and I didn't know if it was the right time or not. When we were talking about the ice bath scene, I don't remember exactly what aspect of we were talking about. Like, oh, this is like this. It was like, we were on a roll. It felt like.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, like that was one of my favorite parts of the movie, was the ice bath scene.
The ice bath.
And I really liked that, and we all were kind of feeling. I was like, but at the end, it turns out this isn't real. You know, like this is all just in his brain. And I get that I really liked watching it. I had a lot of fun. That's what I said. I had a lot of fun watching it. And I get it. It's only it takes place within like a minute of his conscious brain, but like the whole thing didn't happen. You know, like
Yeah, like realistically, it didn't happen. But like, think about
reality.
like not in like.
So whenever we're talking about
in reality, like if we were to really break it down, the movie, like in the movie, what's real is probably less than a minute.
yes,
Probably less than a minute.
that's why I was like, that's where to me the whole movie's built on the realization of, oh, he's dead, and then after you learn that, it's like, well, he's
But
dead.
you don't realize, like, when did you truly realize that he was dead?
It became a possibility in my brain halfway through the movie when he opened the book and he was reading about purgatory.
Okay.
Yeah.
Halfway through,
Whenever he's in the apartment.
Yeah, and then when he's like he's in the sanatorium, it's like you're dead, or like he's got the hand. Oh, it says you're dead. When it's like it's alluding to that he's dead the whole movie, so it's really not that big of a shock.
But it depends how deep you look at it. It depends because the first time that I watched it, I was looking at it very shallow, right?
Yeah.
Like I was looking at it very, very shallow. I was like, wow, like Jesse's his reality, Sarah's his reality, Vietnam's his reality. There's so many possibilities that like this could be, you know? Because realistically, like throughout the movie, there's 4 possibilities, you know? And so whenever you're looking at it, like I guess you kind of are analyzing it a lot deeper than how I analyzed it the first time.
I guess so, yeah.
And that's how it hit me way harder the first time that I watched it because, dude, the first time that I watched it, like I thought about it for weeks. Like I thought about it for so long.
Was some of it the fact that it was like an unbelievable thing that happened, like the government experimented on soldiers in Vietnam with chemical warfare? Was some of it like that shocked you too?
Well, the thing is like whenever I first watched the movie, that wasn't really a thing about it. But it wasn't until like 2 weeks later I was like, let's see what there really is about this.
No.
You know? So
tell me what was real about, like, how real was that drug?
Okay, so basically what BZ was is like Benazide. There's somewhere that starts with Q and then Benazide.
Uh-huh.
But they just call it BZ because it's just easier to pronunciate or whatever. So basically what BZ was a drug that was supposed to inhabit parts of LSD and parts of whatever other drug was popular in the 80s. Like I don't know. In the 80s and 70s.
DMT, maybe? I don't know.
And so what they did was they were supposed to like isolate specific like strains of that particular drug. And what it was supposed to do was supposed to go like whenever you take it, you weren't supposed to like feel high. You're supposed to be angry.
Okay.
Like the whole point was like for you to be mad, right? And so what they did was they did tests on the POWs, which were the prisoners of war, in Vietnam, and they like ripped each other the fuck apart. And like in the movie, it says that.
So it's like actual people killed each other for no reason.
Real people hurting each other, like for absolutely no reason at all. Like literally just for drug tests.
So like this movie presents as like these people were like
it's not no, it's not like that. It's not like
or
that.
Or they just got into arguments way more than they got into fights.
No, it's like it's not like fights. It's like you're handed machetes and machine guns, and you're given this drug. And basically that's what it is.
You're not handed it. You just have them. Like you're.
No, not for the POWs.
I didn't know if that was a real thing.
So what the realest part of it is that it all happened in it all happened for.
Did a platoon of soldiers kill each other?
Yes.
In real life?
Technically yes. No.
I don't know.
Not a platoon. It was. This is so like I feel like you're not gonna believe me.
No, I'm very open to the fact that I understand the government did
two groups. It's like 2 completely different platoons of soldiers were given the drug at separate points, like 0.5 miles away from each other, right? And it was 2 completely different camps. It was like it wasn't on Saigon. It was some other like town or city that was in Vietnam, right? But they were given the drug at the same time, and they were both given coordinates, right? Like they were both given coordinates to
the other camp.
Yes.
And they killed each other.
And they killed each other.
I can believe that.
That's a real thing that happened. Like it really did happen.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't be surprised.
You don't know you're shooting in war. If you're giving coordinates, you shoot them.
If there's, especially in Vietnam, like you hear stories about it all the time. Like think about like. Wow, what other movies are about Vietnam?
Lots of them.
Full Metal Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket is.
You don't know what you're shooting at in that whole movie. They're just shooting.
Oh my God.
Platoon.
Forrest Gump, right?
Yeah,
think about whenever Bubba is shot, it's just trees, right?
You have to trust your reconnaissance from the sky.
You just have to go boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Like that's all you're doing. That's all you're doing. But basically, what the drug BZ was supposed to be, like what it was being tested for, was like a rage drug, right?
Yeah.
So that if you take it and I take it,
To make like almost a super soldier.
Which really doesn't make sense. Like, I don't think the best soldiers are
I feel
angry
like there's another
I don't think
movie
that makes
about a
sense.
super soldier.
When you fight for your life, it's like
It's focus. It's not anger.
Yeah, exactly.
So it doesn't really make sense as a premise. but
And like in like Civil War and World War One, maybe when it's just lines of people stabbing each other
I
and shooting
guess,
each other.
Yeah, especially World War
Maybe.
II. Like, it's just like you have a
And the trenches.
God.
Yeah.
Trench war.
dude. We should totally start doing war movies.
I
we
love
should
war movies.
totally
I
start
love
doing-
war movies, dude. When you're talking about Saving Private Ryan, I love Saving Private Ryan.
Dude, like what were we talking about earlier? We were talking about Full Metal Jacket, Saving Private Ryan,
Platoon.
Platoon,
And Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump. I would love to do. I feel like for 1917 though, I feel like we would have to do like a live.
There's not a lot to talk about in 1970.
I feel like there's so much to talk. Like,
It's
and not
a great
necessarily
movie.
from like a storyline point, but like from like a director and like,
Oh,
like a
absolutely.
filmographer.
Yeah, but there's just
War movies are specifically tough because they're honestly the type of movies where you're supposed to watch, digest it, feel it, and then be like, I appreciate that. And then just
yeah.
kind of reflect.
Yeah.
and like respect.
Yeah.
No,
But
I-
one that you might is with Andrew Garfield, where he's the medic.
Oh my
We can
God.
probably talk about that one.
Fury.
No.
No.
Where he's the medic and he won't shoot a gun.
And he won't touch a rifle. I can't touch a rifle, sir.
That's a
touch a
fantastic movie.
It's not Fury.
Hacksaw Ridge.
Hacksaw Ridge.
It's a
Yep.
fantastic movie.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
Great.
Dude, he was not a good cast. He
You
was
don't think
not,
so?
No.
I just love Andrew Garfield. I don't think I've seen a movie I really don't like him in.
Tick
I
Tick
really like
Boom.
him.
That shit was ass.
Oh, really?
Tick Tick Boom was terrible.
I haven't seen that.
And okay, The Amazing Spider-Man. It's like
Ass movie, great performance.
okay,
Sorry.
ass movie, great performance.
Yeah.
But the thing is like he's not a good Peter Parker. But he's a great Spider-Man. He's the best Spider-Man that I've seen.
He is a.
As like a Spider-Man, like
He was
he's so
given a
cool.
terrible movie.
He's funny. Like oh my god,
He was
brings
given
it all
a
to the
terrible
table.
movie and a terrible script, and he somehow made it a good Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a
Dude,
real miracle.
Another war movie, speaking of Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire
Was
in-
given a great movie and was a terrible Spider-Man. It's the exact opposite.
Okay, but what I'm talking about is Tobey Maguire in Brothers.
Oh, okay.
Awesome war movie.
Okay.
I haven't seen it.
Awesome performance. You haven't seen Brothers?
I haven't seen Brothers, but I know what it's about.
Okay, so you're just spitting straight bullshit at me. You haven't seen Brothers before?
No.
Okay, that's okay.
We'll talk about that.
Three episodes from now is my fucking next movie. That is one of my favorite movies I've ever seen in my entire life. Don't watch it.
I'd be so happy.
Don't watch it.
I won't.
Okay, perfect.
No intention.
I love that movie.
We
dude.
have to watch the movie if we're gonna have a podcast on it.
Well, don't watch it
No,
yet.
no,
Okay.
no,
Okay.
Yeah.
I've wanted to watch it for a long time.
Me too. Me too.
We got okay, guys.
Wait,
this
is it, wait, bro, it's Tobey Maguire
And Jake
too.
Gyllenhaal, right?
Jake
That's what I
Gyllenhaal.
thought. Okay.
Jake Gyllenhaal and Natalie Portman
Yeah.
I'm not gonna react.
and Osama bin Laden.
Osama bin Laden.
Yeah, he's an actor. He was cast in it.
Are we gonna get back on the movie we're supposed to be talking about?
I feel like we kind of got there. I feel like,
I can't believe you didn't bring up the fact when Danny, or let's just say Louis, because I can't say his last name. Louis gave him the final like readjustment to his back, and he told him like
To
you just have
stand?
to accept death. He's
Well, okay. It's like
I
whatever.
thought that was the theme of the movie.
In the final time that we see Louis, right? It's like he. I can't stand up.
Yeah, you want me to lay down?
No.
Okay.
He rescues him from the hospital, takes him back to the place, and like all of the. Okay, do you guys remember the point with where the nurse, her hat falls
like,
off?
yeah.
Oh, that was disgusting. I hated that
Disgusting.
part.
I just want to talk about that like just for a second. Anyway, so we have Louis rescuing Jacob from all that stuff, right? And then takes him back, pops him back into place, says, "Wiggle your toes," and then pushes his back, stands him up, says, "Let's see if you can stand up."
Are you serious?
And then right after that, it transitions right into Sarah and Gabe, or Sarah and Jed and the other brother in the hospital. Like as soon as that happens, transitions right into him in like
Really?
just
Right after that?
just laying out.
Really?
Yeah, and then he ends up falling back asleep again, saying, "Am I dead?" This and that.
But he has this speech where he's like, basically you'll go to hell if you hold on to like your fears or something like that.
Well,
it's like you go to heaven if you let all that go and just accept death.
No. So, what the fears are supposed to be, not the fears. It's like what Jacob's ladder is supposed to be, is like you letting go of all of your past life, right? So, him like going up, like I don't understand how you didn't love this movie, dude. Because I feel like this was the perfect. Like I chose this because I thought this was gonna be like.
You honestly
really,
talked me
really
up from a
good for
6
you.
out of 10 to a 7 out of 10 already.
Okay, because
so you've already talked me up a little bit.
Because him coming up this ladder, right, is him, like you said, accepting death, right? So the first thing that he accepts is him never being able to get Jezebel. The next thing is him, like his wife leaving him, and the last thing is his son dying on his fault, right? Because he gave his son the bike. Like that's like the whole thing.
And he wasn't watching him.
Yeah, and he wasn't watching him whenever he was crossing the street, and he dropped his baseball cards, and then he got
Railed.
I didn't really see the
You said that earlier.
I didn't really see the accepting part of like all these things. I understand what you're saying because like you see all these things happen, but like does he
I feel like if you watched it a second time, you would be like,
and so he's coming to terms with all these things in his brain while he's dying.
dude, that's what Jacob's ladder is. That's what Jacob's
when
ladder
you die,
is.
you go through every important part of your life.
You go through everything that has happened.
Gabe and Ben were talking about this right off of freaking the library after you went to we were talking about this and Gabe was like, you know what, maybe I'm not gonna go to the library. And he stayed with us and we kept talking about it. Completely irrelevant.
But regardless.
But we were saying right outside of the freaking library talking about like, yes, when you die, all this I think is DMT
probably
flows to your head, and it's proven people that have died and brought back to life say that they experience everything. Like if you like beat up on your brother or something, like you feel that on yourself, or if you make someone feel bad about themselves, you feel that on you. And it's all in like a 7-minute period. Like it's in your entire life. But that's what it was. Like he's going through all the significant parts of his life.
Everything. Mm-hmm. Like his fantasy with this girl Jezzy, his wife leaving him, and then him finally accepting the fact that his son's death was his fault. Right? And so he goes up everything, and then he ends up being met by his son at what is supposed to be seen as the gates of heaven, right? Like that's supposed to be, because like
most of the movie is a trip though. Most of the movie's like not like him reenacting his life.
Okay.
Most of the movie's like a big trip.
It's not a trip. It's nothing. Oh my god, it's so hard for me to explain because it's like most of it is supposed to be like him making his way to heaven, but like it's like. I don't know who directed this movie. Who directed this movie?
I don't know.
I don't really know.
Whoever directed this movie, right, is making it half Jacob's Ladder, him making his way to heaven, half raising awareness for the BZ treatment on Vietnam soldiers. Like, and all of that comes together. And so whenever you say, like, this is, like, half of this was a trip, like, I understand completely where you're coming from, but that's not what it's supposed to be seen as.
Okay.
That's not at all what it's supposed to be seen as. Because him making his way to heaven and realizing everything that's happened in his life is one thing. And then him
experiencing the effects and like truly coming to the realization of everything, like of the BZ drug itself. Like it all comes together up into one thing. He realized at the end, while he dies, that he's been experimented on.
Yes, because that like we wouldn't be shown that in the movie if not.
Is that why? Yeah, so that's why he goes through purgatory.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, but the thing is about purgatory is like the whole purgatory aspect of the movie is like Purgatory is really short. Like in the movie, it's not capitalized on a whole lot. You know, like it's like realistically, it's like.
That's why. When I said like he goes on this trip, that's what I thought the purgatory was. He goes.
It's not the whole trip. It's not the whole trip. It's like that certain aspect whenever he is first brought in and then he's brought back to Vietnam. Like that was supposed to be like the first step, like the first. What is it? What is each thing of a ladder called?
Step.
Rung, step.
Rung, step,
Rung.
whatever.
I like that, rung.
Rung.
Each rung of a ladder.
The first rung. Hell. It's the first rung. Heaven. Yeah, that's another thing. Hell is so prominent in this movie, but Jacob never ever amounts to it. Ever. Like he never fades to hell. Like he's looking at the signs in the subway. He's watching his girlfriend get freaking tongued on by a lizard demon, and he denies everything. Jacob Singer's the GOAT, dude. Jacob Singer's the GOAT. He's the best. I love this movie. Since me talking to you about it, have you liked it more or no?
Yeah, for sure.
What about you? I mean, you've seen it before, but I feel like it's been a long time since you've seen it.
Oh, it has, for sure.
I mean, it's been 2.5 years, 3 years.
It's also in mad respect because I wrote my senior paper on a movie too.
What's your
Dark Knight.
Really?
Dark Knight. I wrote a lot.
Like everything that I had realistically, like I've tried really hard because I'm in English right now, right? And like I have a 10-page paper due on Sunday, but I have never ever tried harder on any other piece of piece of writing than my senior paper on Jacob's Ladder.
Mad respect.
Like that was like the one thing that I have, like I feel like I have maxed out my capability on. Like I think that was the best thing I've ever done it on. It's the most extensive research that I've ever done. Like whenever I was watching this movie again, it was like it all came flooding back to me.
Yeah.
You do it because it's interesting. Like when you're doing something you're passionate about and you enjoy, it's like it's almost easy and you want to keep learning.
Like another thing is like our parents were all alive, like living through this when this was happening, and had no clue what was going on.
My parents
had no clue what was going on.
I mean,
no, like they knew they knew the Vietnam War was going on, and honestly, like
let's the Vietnam War.
My parents were not alive during the Vietnam War.
That's okay though. Keep going with your point. I like your general point though. Why is that happening?
Why does that keep happening?
I don't know. Well, let's just keep.
When was the Vietnam War?
65 to 69. No, 71. We got out in 69 virtually,
Dude.
but 71 is official ending. My mom was born in 72. My dad in 75.
My dad was 2 years old when it ended.
Technically, I think it ended 71, but
Well,
really.
both my parents were technically alive whenever it was still going on, so I'm going to continue that narrative.
Okay, that's fine. I like your narrative. Keep going.
So,
You don't need
the fact that our parents are like people that I'm close to, realistically, like grandparents.
Yeah. My grandpa was in the Vietnam War.
Yeah, like he was there. He watched it happen. Like all of this was happening very close to him. And the thing is like Jacob's Ladder really like it does capture a whole aspect of the Vietnam War and that nobody saw. Like that nobody saw during the 60s and 70s.
It was covered up by the government.
And
it was.
And they don't.
I promise you guys. I swear it happened. I promise.
I
it happened.
No, and we mentioned all these other Vietnam movies. Not once do they even flirt with the idea of DZ.
BZ.
Anyway, but dude, this is like something that I've been really, really passionate about. Like this is something that, like honestly, I owe to you a lot because, realistically,
Chris put me on.
Chris put you on. So shout out Chris Wetherell if you're ever gonna listen to this.
I'll send it to him.
So I remember that the movie that we were going to watch, it was either going to be Jacob's Ladder or what's that movie about the cops? Not Super Troopers. Chips. It was
That's
either
a TV show.
It's a movie too.
It's a movie too.
But we were not gonna watch it.
No, I promise it was either Jacob's Ladder or we were watching Chips.
What?
Swear.
Chips out here is really funny though.
I swear.
Movie.
Have you watched it before?
Yeah.
After February 15th of 2019
Yes.
though, yeah. Yeah.
It's on my letterbox, not reviewed.
Oh, you mean modern Chips?
Yeah.
Like the Netflix with what's his face? Dax.
Yeah.
Dax? Yeah, he's not funny.
No, it's
not
not. It's not on. It's not a Netflix movie, but
Oh, I thought it was.
it's Dax and
I haven't seen it, I don't know.
the Mexican actor from Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
yeah.
awesome.
He's
great.
yeah, but that movie looked terrible.
He's also in what's that Seth Rogen? Observe and Report. You ever seen Observe and Report before? Have you seen Observe and Report before?
Negative.
Bro,
He's
you
bringing
guys-
out niche
I feel like you
movies
guys
right
don't like Seth Rogen that much.
I don't like Seth Rogen.
I don't like
Bro,
Seth Rogen.
I
think he's funny.
think that Seth Rogen is realistically. I think that Seth Rogen and Paul Rudd are the best comedic
I like Paul
actors. Well, and Steve Carell. I think that
I like Steve Carell.
Seth Rogen, Paul Rudd, and Steve Carell are the best comedical actors
No.
of our lifetime. Yeah, right now, especially.
I like two of them.
Will Ferrell.
I don't think
Will
Paul
Ferrell.
Rudd's that funny though. I think he's a good actor.
Will Ferrell's behind us.
Not really.
No, he 100%.
Old School,
behind us.
2003. Talladega Nights, 2005.
That's all. Whenever we were children.
Doesn't matter. It's still in my era.
Like you were a year old whenever Talladega Nights came out.
2.
I was 3. I'm older than y'all.
I mean, that's in our era.
And that's not for me. I wasn't watching movies in. I didn't have a Letterboxd account in 2005.
Letterboxd was
Okay.
a thing in 2005.
I will say though.
Shout out Letterboxd.
I will say, this might sound very sentimental because it is, but like the whole reason we started the dang podcast is because we want people to think about movies, and we are people who think we don't just watch movies just to consume them as media, just like, oh, that was fun.
Movies are
We-
life. You were quoting movies before the podcast
We
started.
watch movies
unintentionally.
to think about them seriously and to take lessons away from them. I watch movies. I've watched movies before and written 3,000 words essays on them just for fun.
Yeah.
Like, we are that type of person, and we're hoping to find other types of people like that
Yeah.
on the internet.
Bro, realistically, like with the platform that we have right now, like finding those people is very hard. But
Doesn't
once we
matter.
do, it's gonna be.
I
fucking
cannot
awesome.
wait until we get comments on our videos.
And they will
Yeah.
look back at this and make remixes and repost them. That's
Dude,
the
I just want.
Wow, look at them now. Look at them
I just
now.
want some kind of interaction. Dude, that'd be awesome.
Bro, we have years. We have years.
We're fine. We're fine.
Every
We're
week.
so young.
Hey, but
Every week for years,
But
dude.
we would watch these movies and have these conversations regardless if it's on
Yeah,
camera.
that's why we started recording them.
It wouldn't be as structured. But
No, bro, that's the thing. Recording them is for the structure of it. Like,
Yeah.
the only reason that I took these fucking dumbass notes.
Hey,
Look, I made a ladder, dude. I made a ladder for Jacob's Ladder. For this specific
hey,
reason.
for the camera.
For the camera.
I didn't know
dude.
JC last year, but last year, me and Will literally had these same exact conversations
Yeah.
for hours and hours. We stayed up till 4 in the morning just talking about random ass movies, just for no reason, because we liked it.
Isn't that wild? You and I didn't know each other 1 year ago.
That's crazy. It's crazy I didn't know you a year ago.
yeah.
It's all my fault. Honestly.
So,
honestly, it's kind of Lang's fault.
all right. There's no point in that.
She's not watching.
It doesn't matter. There's no point in that. Nate, your rating was.
It was a 6. It was a high 6, but JC talked me into at least a 7, so
Okay.
I'll be upping it.
And yours.
I think that realistically, like, I think that oh my god, 8.5, 8.4, something around there.
For one of your favorite
Something-
movies, that's a totally fair score. I mean,
Yeah.
one of my favorite movies are in the 9, so.
Like that movie is just so special to me, and like honestly, it all is owed to you. Like,
No, it's
and so to Chris
It's
Wetherell. Thank you so much for, like, and shout out damn Tim, dude. Shout out Tim Robinson, bro.
Bro, Tim Robbins and Macaulay Culkin look so much alike.
I was gonna.
You said that in
I
your
was gonna
fucking
comment
letterbox
that.
review.
No,
They look so alike.
It's the eyes.
It's the same eyes.
It's the lips too, and like the clueless like.
I never thought about it before. They look
Like-
so similar.
Yeah. No, I saw your review before I watched it, and I was looking out for it. I will say
And
that.
you know how, like, you're an exception, but like blonde people, like, their hair gets darker when they get older. Like, Macaulay Culkin could totally have, because Tim Robbins has like kind of dark blonde hair already, so I could totally see that.
Yeah, and I wrote a note on Macaulay Culkin. Dude, same year that Home Alone came out, he was killing it for like
He's a fantastic
months.
child actor.
8 months.
Bro,
and then
just mentioned not Macaulay Culkin.
And then in my letterbox,
He was Richie Rich. He was Richie Rich.
In my letterbox review, I said Macaulay Culkin was destroying Hollywood for 8 months and then retired at age 7.
Bro, he might have been he's probably the greatest child actor of all time.
Absolutely, in my opinion.
And he was like, it wasn't just like, oh, it's just a kid, like whatever. He is good at acting.
He's
He's
good.
like age 6 years
And
old.
he's
Cameron Boyce.
he's cute. He's
He's a cute
likable.
kid. Everyone thinks he's cute.
Yeah.
Whichever one of the Zach and Cody's was in the Adam Sandler
Sprouse.
movie.
They're both
Yeah,
good.
They're both they're interchangeable. Yeah.
Like fucking Mary-Kate and Ashley?
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause
You're
what-
fucking kidding
When you
me.
hire kids, you can't always depend on them. They're like dogs. So when you hire, like when you have a dog in the movie, you have to use multiple dogs because sometimes the dog's just not having it that day, so they switch out dogs. You know, like they do that with like little kids too.
And
That's why they hire twins.
what's it? Daddy's home or Daddy
Yeah.
or the Daddy's boy. What is it?
Baby Daddy.
No, you're talking about Adam Sandler.
Yeah, the baby daddy.
Baby Daddy.
Big Daddy.
Big.
It's either Baby Daddy or
You're
Big.
talking about the '90s one, right? Not like
Where they're-
with-
The one
Where they're
the
both
one
sitting on the side of the
right?
the one with one of the Sprouse guys. Or
Yeah,
is this both
Big Daddy.
Sprouse guys?
It's Big Daddy.
Big Daddy.
It's
Big Daddy. Let's just make sure, because I don't know.
It's Big Daddy.
I think
There's no way it's Baby Daddy. They would never name a fucking.
Yeah, it's Big
Baby
Daddy. It's Big Daddy.
Okay,
It's Big Daddy.
but it's like. Well,
You were talking about Sprouses.
The Sprouses
but why?
and Macaulay Culkin. 'Cause-
Oh, child actors.
Yeah.
But if they were interchangeable, that doesn't count. Because Mary Kate and Ashley aren't good, and if Cole and Dylan Sprouse were interchangeable in that movie, and in Zack and Cody, I mean, they did Zack and Cody for years and years, but
They're older.
They're older. Yeah. Way older.
I mean, still, but I mean, think about what Macaulay Culkin did. He did 2 Home Alones, a Richie Rich, or 2 Richie Riches.
My Girl. Have y'all seen My Girl?
My Girl.
Haven't
He's
seen that.
really good in My Girl.
My Girl.
He makes the whole movie.
The John Candy movie, Uncle Buck.
Yeah. he's
Uncle
good at that,
Buck,
too. He's
dude.
good at
Uncle Buck
too.
is great.
He's in The Good Son.
We should totally
I've
watch
seen that
Uncle
one.
Buck for a movie. Uncle Buck is so good.
Comedies will be hard.
Dude, I'm
man.
telling you,
Yo, comedies are tough, you're
From
right.
1989 to 1992,
He destroyed.
he ruled the world, and he's like, all right, I'm retiring at like
I hope
9 years
it
old,
like
bro.
helped him because like when you grow up famous like that just destroys
And
you.
then he started smoking cigarettes.
I mean,
Don't smoke cigarettes. Oh my god.
Shout out
Red Apple Tobacco.
Red Apple. Hey, shout
Hey,
out.
that's a movie reference
Shout,
right
shout out
there.
Spawns. Right?
Shout out Spawn.
Shout out Spawn Ranch.
Shout
Shout
out.
out Sweetwater Sweet. Shout out Sweetwater Surf Show.
But the thing about comedy movies is that I feel like that's what an audience would like to see because like
Well, see,
audiences
with-
love comedy.
yeah,
movies.
with comedies, you have a lot of like side conversations.
I know.
And I was thinking when I'm
Do you want to watch side conversations? Is the question.
depends if it's dude. I'm telling you, entertainment.
People like
is-
Theo Vaughn.
We're not Theo Vaughn though.
We're not Theo Vaughn.
We can
people
never
like
be.
enter-
Three of us, like our comedy, 3 of us, probably times 10 can't do what Theo Vaughn
No.
does by himself.
No. I should have been a Theo
sucks.
Vaughn video today.
I don't think I've ever.
Best
watched
Nation Live.
Theo Von.
I was listening to a Theo
And he left
Vaughn podcast last night, and he said that if there was a forbidden well with the word vapes written on the side of it, and you went to that well at midnight and you shot a flashlight down the bottom of it, he would be down there.
That's such an, it's such specific, and it's like, what? How do you think of that? It just blows my mind every time he says something. Like, it's so creative.
gold, dude.
Yeah, that's funny.
I showed Ben the one today. It was like, greatest things in life is when you be petting a dog and he lets you pet it, and he don't walk away. That's the
And you
greatest
don't walk
thing in life.
away. That's
And
the
he don't
best
be walking
feeling in
away.
the world.
And
right?
he said it turns you into a pedophile. And I was like, what? That's crazy. It's a crazy thing to say.
It's cold.
Let me see what else I wanted to say.
I saw someone tweeted about Theo Vaughn. Said the greatest thing about Theo Vaughn is that every time he speaks, there's a new sentence that's never been said before.
Yeah, it's like Brando.
I agree. Going back to the movie, there was a couple scenes where Tim Robbins looked like Slenderman. he was so tall compared to everyone else in this movie.
Elizabeth Payne is pretty short.
Especially when in the party scene, whenever he's dancing.
Yeah.
And he's just like,
I want to see how tall he is.
and dude,
I thought he was 6'3".
you can't. You need to
Well,
be
Morgan
able.
Freeman's tall, so in Shawshank Redemption,
He's 6'5". He's 6'5".
that makes sense because Morgan Freeman is also tall.
How tall?
I don't know, but like I remember, so that movie, Shawshank Redemption, they're like iconic movie. They're both tall, so standing next to each other, they probably don't look tall.
Morgan Freeman is 6'2", so makes sense.
But Red in that movie is like super short, or
Yeah.
no, not Red, because Morgan Freeman's Red. The short Irish guy. No. The guy
haven't seen it
the old dude,
long
but
time.
whatever. That guy is like tiny, so it's like
Yeah.
those guys are tall.
6'5". Yeah. I didn't. I thought Elizabeth Payne was just like tiny, and then the lawyer guy, the bald-headed lawyer, he came along, and there's a height difference.
Short.
Like, all right, I think Tim Robbins is tall.
Ving Rhames is huge too.
Really?
He's
Really?
he plays big.
Let's see.
Character,
Oh,
so.
yeah, because being.
I can't believe that's the only two movies you've seen him in. This and Pulp Fiction. RHAMES.
you. He's only 6 foot.
Really?
Yeah.
He's pretty muscular though, I guess.
Yeah.
I can't believe that's him.
I know.
That's crazy. That's him.
I can't believe I
all the
didn't
movies
know that
I've
was
seen him in
him.
now.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
I mean, it's
Oh.
like the same body type, but it's
I'm gonna
like.
go-
I wrote down one more question, by the way, for this movie.
Go ahead. I would love to hear about.
What's the significance of him being a guy who is a professor and then all of a sudden he's just delivering mail? Like
A professor.
yeah, they call him the
He's a
professor
doctor.
in the army, and then he's like, he gets back, and Louis like, you quit your professing job, and he's like, yeah, I just didn't want to think no more.
So that's his reality. Like I don't know. Like that's something that we're unable to really fully comprehend because
Okay.
and like the whole movie, I guess it's like the way that you say it is like, and none of it really matters.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's not that it doesn't matter. It's just like
it's his journey to heaven,
Yeah.
right? So it's like in his journey to heaven, he is a postman, right?
Uh-huh.
But in his realistic life,
he's a professor.
he's a professor, and who knows why? You know, because
Okay.
we don't. The only person that we know truly that we really understand as a person is
Louis.
Sorry.
And again, I did not
Completely
dislike
wrong.
this movie. So if I had really hated this movie, this really didn't sit well with me, I would have given it a terrible score. But it slightly didn't sit well with me. Like, okay, this whole movie can be summarized in like 30 seconds of real life footage.
I will say that once I read your review, I went back and I read like the summary and like I read like
Because I said at the end of my
what the
review.
movie's about. Realistically, it's not summarized well at all. You know, like that's not what the movie is. But
So
the
my
thing
review,
is,
the
thing
last
is,
sentence
but-
is,
but- okay,
like,
yeah,
read
go
the
ahead.
description of this movie after watching it. None of that's true. Not a single word of it. Turns out that that's not the plot of the movie at all. And the description of the movie is, after returning home from the Vietnam War, veteran Jacob Singer struggles to maintain his sanity. Plagued by hallucinations and flashbacks, Singer rapidly falls apart as the world around him morph and twist into disturbing images. His girlfriend Jessie and ex-wife Sarah try to help him, but to little avail. Even Singer's chiropractor friend Louis fails to reach him as he descends into madness. None of that's true.
yes,
Well, you can't-
it's not
you can't put that
real.
in.
But
You
that
can't put the actual-
you can't put that into a movie description. You can't be like,
Oh, by the way,
so
he's
Jacob.
dead the
No, I
entire
wouldn't say
time.
that. I just say like,
So Jacob's dead the entire time, and on his trek to heaven, he
I wouldn't-
faces reality with his possible affair Jesse and his ex-wife Sarah and his guardian angel Luke.
I just think you make it a little bit more vague instead of like actually explaining that this is a movie about a man
That's
trying
the
to
thing.
find his
That's the
sanity.
thing. In 1990, like this. Let's look. Can you look up how much this movie made in the box office in 1990? Like how much did Jacob's Ladder make, and what was the budget? Because like you got to realize that like there have been time after time where a trailer or a description doesn't fit what the movie is actually about. For example, the first podcast we ever did, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies,
Sure.
right? Like you remember the advertisements for that. Did
Some
you ever
misdirect.
see? You never saw advertisements for that.
I did. Wait, no, I didn't. Oh.
Okay,
You just got Dookie done. The box office score was 26.1 and the budget was 25.
so they lost $1 million.
No, it made a
No, they
million.
made
It made a
it.
million.
That's just not very good.
Just, I mean, $1 million.
This means you barely scratch.
retrospect,
You can barely
yeah.
pay anybody.
I I mean, that's box office. That's in theaters. So,
I guess it might make some.
I mean, I would
get royalties.
if I could give him some money, I would give him a little bit of money.
like $20, like a charity offer.
I
Tim Robbins, you
love
deserve
this movie.
All right,
Yeah.
what happened to Tim Robbins?
He's still around.
I know, but he's not acting.
He's just old.
He doesn't act anymore.
Let's see.
I'd also like to
Tim
prove-
Robbins' most recent movie.
I'd also like to prove that I have seen Ving Rhames and stuff. He's in Guardians of the Galaxy, both of them.
What does he play in Guardians of the Galaxy?
He is so you know how Sylvester Stallone's in Guardians of the Galaxy? It's the same. It's just like the same. Sylvester Stallone.
For like a split second.
It's the same thing.
Okay.
But
Apparently, Tim Robbins in Don't Look Up.
We'll see what he plays in.
he's also in Out of Sight, Ving Rhames, Father Figures, Mission Impossible, and I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry. All of those movies.
I love I Pronounce You Chuck and Larry. You know, people didn't like that movie. I like that movie. Did you like that movie? You didn't.
I just mixed feelings about it.
Okay. Did you ever
I
see
thought it
that
was really
movie or
funny
no?
though. Really funny.
This is Google. Google's. It's not right. It's not right. It's not right.
Sorry, I'll figure it out.
Was Morgan Freeman in Don't Look Up?
Yes, dude.
I heard so many terrible things about Don't Look Up. I didn't watch it.
You didn't watch the movie, dude? Why not?
Ben watched it. He's like, don't watch it, man. It's the worst. I heard so many people like, don't watch that movie. It's the worst thing ever. And then Will, you liked it halfway, right?
I think you give it like a 2.5.
You liked it half.
Wow. Whenever you look up Tim Robbins' IMDb profile, the first thing that pops up is Jacob's Ladder.
Not Shawshank?
No, The Player came up.
I wish I could replay this fucking
Player.
video. How do I replay
Bro.
this video?
The Shawshank has come up. I mean, he literally stars as the main character in probably the most influential movie of all time.
Absolutely.
In what?
Shawshank.
Yeah, it's a pretty
Oh, he's in Bull Durham.
Yeah. He's
Stop
okay.
saying
That's
that.
crazy. Kevin Costner last time, and now Nuke Lelouch is now the opposite. That's crazy. So we went from Crash Davis to Nuke Lelouch. That's awesome.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw that.
That's great.
You're right.
But-
You're right. I've been wrong so many times in this podcast.
Yeah, you have. Let's
But-
talk about it.
That's crazy, man.
We've been recording for
Imagine,
like an hour.
imagine we
before
weren't
we
recording.
left.
It'd be
This is our longest podcast for sure. I hope.
Well, see, I was telling JC before you got here that we don't have the 30-minute beep beep beep.
So we'll be.
It's like we're loose, dude. We're loose. Like we're gonna keep going. Don't have anything to worry
We
about.
can talk till
It's-
4 a.m., guys.
It's gonna be longer.
That's what you said.
No, it's not.
That's what they said.
We don't have any she's on this podcast.
Not yet. Just wait.
Just wait.
Don't fall.
Who did?
Catch it, Nate.
Should we get into the closeout?
Yeah, we'll continue on with this. Who's next? Who's choosing next?
Me.
You.
And I have it.
You have it?
I have it.
Are you ready to drop it?
I'll drop.
Drop it.
The next. I'm glad you're doing that. I'm glad you're playing the drums because the next pod
No way.
cast movie is Almost Famous. Yes!
Okay.
Yes! I'm so excited for this.
Okay.
I'm so excited.
Okay. Hey, I have it on DVD. I have it on DVD, so we don't have to.
Dude, I am so excited. I watched
Stillwater,
it.
baby.
I watched it about a week ago, and I have not stopped thinking about it since. And
Kate Hudson.
Kay Hudson is
Jason Lee.
Have you
Bro,
seen it?
those-
Have you seen it?
Do you know
Philip
that movie
Seymour Hoffman.
that's my dad's favorite movie.
It's my
You've
grandma's
seen
favorite
it.
movie.
I've seen it probably.
Oh, I thought you haven't seen it.
I don't even know how to
Alright,
explain how
cool.
many times I've seen it.
I've seen,
Bro,
and
Kate
I've
Hudson
read,
with
she
those
is,
curls,
yeah,
dude.
she's
Holy
great.
shit.
She's great. But I've read some things and I've watched some things breaking down Kate Hudson's character, and I cannot wait to get into it.
Okay.
And I watched it over the weekend, and I've been wanting to watch it since. Again,
Good.
I want to watch the extended cut, the extendo.
I literally just have the DVD copy.
Leak.
Like that's all I have.
I watched it right before I got Letterboxd, like the week before probably. So I never reviewed it. I just
Yeah.
gave it a score, but
Yeah, Nate.
That's another one of those movies like
I need to review it.
not it's like I Am Legend is like y'all know I grew up on that
No.
and like Avatar and shit like that. Like this is like years before
Yeah.
that.
And
You know,
Nate-
like this is stuff that like my dad would pop into the DVD
Really?
player, like shit
Wow.
like that.
And
Yeah.
Nate, I picked this movie not just
We
solely
grew up on
because-
different very types of movies.
Bro. Yeah.
I grew up on Back to the Future and like Bull Durham
Yeah.
and like
Back to the Future for me.
I mean, I grew up on Back to the Future. Like I've seen Back to the
Karate
Future.
Kid. I've seen
Yeah,
Karate
for
Kid
sure,
100
dude.
times.
My mom loves Karate Kid.
Yeah, my mom used to have a poster of fucking what's his name?
Danielson.
Like 80s movies, I guess.
No, what's his real name?
Ralph Macchio.
Ralph Macchio. Yeah. Yeah, that was like the hot guy.
Yeah,
And
in the 80s.
My cousin Vinny.
No, he's
The
in
dude-
my
the dude
who's
from
who's the
Rocky.
guy? Who's the guy that's in The Outsiders, and he's in Parks and
boy.
Rec?
Rob Lowe.
Rob Lowe.
Yeah.
Like Ralph Macchio and Rob Lowe. Like those are my mom's.
Rob Lowe's a
guys.
good looking fella.
Yeah.
Did you
Did you ever watch Parks and You don't.
Oh, yeah, I love Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec is the best,
Yes.
dude. Did you ever watch Parks and Rec? He hasn't watched fucking Parks and Rec, bro.
Parks and Rec's the best.
Parks and Rec's fucking best.
Nate,
Jeff, what's his face? Who's the creator of The Office and Parks and Rec? I know his name.
John
No idea.
Krasinski.
No, something Daniels, I think.
Danielson.
It might be. No, frick, what's his name?
Jeff
Whatever.
Daniels. Jeff Daniels.
It's not Jeff Daniels because I know who that is. But whatever made I usually could tell you his name. He's a genius. There's-
But I've been trying to say it
Daniels, I
like
think.
3 or 4 times. Nate, I picked this movie because I really want you to rewatch it and revisit it.
Respect.
Dude, Almost Famous. Your aura is purple.
That Kush is purple.
Probably you don't even know what I'm talking about, do you?
I can't
Yes, I
quote
do.
it right now.
Your aura is purple. Alright. This has been Day State. We love y'all so much. We thank you for fucking dealing with our bullshit. And we'll see y'all for Almost Famous.
Wow. And the camera's about to die too. Let's go.